Hey tubers, TJ Pyramid here, good old Joe. So I just watched a video from one of my great friends on here, Sexy Blues, Johnny Blues, the Blues Man. Uh, the man is almost like family to me. And he did a video uh, about taking his sister to the hospital today and them flat out refusing to help her in any way. As he put it in his words, looked at her like a common fucking junkie of some sort and just told him to get out of the hospital. Um, she has a tumor in her abdomen, and she's in serious pain, and she was supposed to have, home care and everything to get her blood pressure and stuff lowered so they could actually operate and remove it and get her out of pain. And it just made me think back about when I was dealing with hospitals and stuff with my mom when she was still alive, with her breathing problems, her bronchitis, her emphysema, her COPD, and how even when we would have to call 911 in like 2, 3, 4 in the morning because she would wake up and couldn't breathe, and the paramedics would get here, even they were snotty. It's like we were messing up their night or something when they would walk through the door, and the multiple times that even the paramedics had come here, there was a couple times where when some of them would walk in, they'd be like, "Oh, we're here again." Really, dude? Do your fucking job and don't lip off. And after she was hospitalized numerous times, even though she had Medicare, insurance, TRICARE, all that stuff through the military and everything, when she first started getting really sick and would have to go to the hospital, at the slightest moment that the nurses or the doctors or anybody thought that she started feeling better, they put in the motion to try to get her out of that hospital as soon as possible. They didn't want her there no more. Why? Because she was being weaned off the medication. So they weren't getting as much money out of her. So they would just boot her out early and send her home, and of course she wasn't better, so she'd end up right back in the hospital. And I don't know how many times being in excuse my language, the fucking hospital, used to go and visit her every day that she was in there. There was one stretch where she was in there for almost a full month. That's towards the end, and she was really bad. And even like the nurses, you could tell it's like the nurses didn't even want to be there. It was not a friendly atmosphere at all. And that's how it sounds to be at the hospital where Johnny and Candy go. The doctors would come in and look at her and then walk out. It's like, no smiles, no how are you doing, anything of that nature. It was just get in, get out, let's get to the next patient. I need to go out and grab my my Porsche and my Mercedes Benz, and I need to drive home. And it just pissed me off so many times when these people would come in and just not even care. And there was one doctor, some little Asian woman, who we were sitting around at home one night, and my mom was in the hospital, and I'd already talked to her that day, and my mom called, and this was a good few months before she passed away, before she died, to where she was probably being well enough to eventually come home again for a little while. And my mom called and basically said, "Well, I just got done talking to the doctor today." And I was like, "Well, yeah, what'd she say?" And the woman said, "Oh, they're going to release me tomorrow because There's nothing else they can do for me here, so they want me to go home to die. Why would any doctor in the world ever tell that to somebody? You have to have no heart, no sympathy of any kind to tell a patient, yeah, you're dead. So let's just go home and have you die in your own house. And she lived for a good number of months after that, and it just really pissed me off. I wanted, to basically just strangle that doctor. I as harsh as it is, I wanted to see that doctor in the hospital and have someone come up to her and say, "Hey, guess what? You're going to die. Oh, we're going to send you home because you're going to die." And there's another time when we were in the hospital where the nurse was like, well, talking to me and Tina and my dad, like, well, what do you want us to do with your mom? Basically, what are our thoughts? What do you want us to do? And I stood up and said, well, I'd like her to stay here a few more days now that she's off the antibiotics, and I'd like to see how she gets along through the night and make sure she keeps breathing and that she's not in any pain, and then see how she is in like 2 or 3 days, and then yeah, we'll take her home. But because they had just taken her off pretty much all the medication, all they had on her was just the thing that regulated the oxygen and stuff to check her levels and everything, and that's all she had on her. She didn't have no medicine going into her or nothing. And they had just taken her off it like the night before, like a few hours before we had gotten there. And the nurse asked our opinion. I was just like, yeah, I'd like her to stay a couple days, 2 or 3 days, just to see how she does being off this medication. I don't want to have her go home today and then have to call 911 or come back here in like 2 days for some reason. And, the nurse just slipped this and like, oh, well, the doctor won't keep her for that reason. I, I was just like, why the fuck did you even ask us then? Obviously, our opinion doesn't matter. You guys are going to do what you want to do to get people out of your hospital, to get sicker people into your hospital, to get them almost well, and then boot them out, have somebody sick come in again, and then have that other sick person come, like a big fucking revolving door. Always have the sick people coming back. And it was probably about 10 years ago or so. I had to go to the emergency room one night. I had a pain in my side that doubled me over. I was in tears, and it was an incredible pain. It felt like I had been kicked a million times by a horse or something like that. And I went in, waited in, of course, God bless America, the waiting rooms of the hospitals in America where you wait. It's an emergency room. You're there because you're in pain, you're suffering. And I don't know how many times I was in the emergency room at the one here in Salem, Oregon, and there's people double over in pain crying, and watch them sit there for literally 2 to 3 hours before they got any help. So of course I went there and sat there for, I don't know, probably 3, 4, 5 hours in pain, incredible pain. Never once having any staff or any nurses or anything coming over asking me how I was doing, or asking anybody else in the emergency room how they were doing, if there's anything they could do, something to drink, anything like that. No. I get in there, and of course, once you get into the room, it takes forever for the doctor to come around. It takes for the nurse to come around. All this other bullshit that they go through. And finally, the doctor comes in, they do some tests on me, and another hour. I don't know what it was, but laying on the hospital bed inside the thing or whatever it is inside the little room, after I don't know 7, 8 hours of being in the hospital with no painkillers or anything, literally in the same amount of pain I was when I went there, I went away. The pain went away enough to where I was like, okay. So after all my tests and everything, the doctor comes back in, not even looking at me in the face, just holding the clipboard to him, flipping through it, looking at his computer, typing shit on his computer, and he says, well, we don't see nothing wrong with you, so you can go. Okay. None of my tests showed anything. Nope, you can go. I said, well, could it be a pinched nerve or something? Oh, it could be. You can go. So all that And then the stuff with my mom, and then hearing about this stuff with Johnny and Candy. I don't know what it takes in America to... Where, where is the pride in people doing their job nowadays? Do doctors not? Isn't there one doctor out there that just wants to actually help somebody step up and just say, fuck the rigmarole, fuck the rules, I'm going to help this person. I want to figure out what's wrong with them and help them. I know there have to be doctors out there somewhere like that, right? All the numerous doctors my mom went through, her primary care physician, all the emergency room doctors, the doctors while she was laid up in the hospital, I really don't believe there was one doctor in there that really gave a shit about her, really gave a shit about us, the family, because never once did any of them show it. Not one time out of months and months and months and months of going there did any of them, in my mind, really put forth an effort to act like they cared. You know, God bless America. The state of the medical profession, the state of care in America is so far downhill that it's not even funny. And it pisses me off when you could walk into the hospital waiting room with your fucking head cut off, carrying it in your arms, and the first thing they would do is, oh, do you have insurance? Well, how about you put my fucking head back on my body, and then we'll worry about whether I have insurance or not. That's just the tip of the iceberg. This video is already over 12 minutes, and I could go on for another 5, 6, 7 fucking hours talking about just how fucked up things are in this country and how easy things would be to fix. How easy things would be to fix if just act like they cared a little bit. All you got to do is show somebody a little bit of respect, a little bit of love, a little bit of care, and let them know that you're worried about them and you want to help them and you're there for them. You know, it's not just called being a friend or a family member. It's called being a human being. It just pisses me off immensely after watching Johnny's video and hearing the bullshit that they went through today. It makes me want to go to where he lives and where his sister lives and just walk into that place and just strangle them all, because it just brings back all the times of going through all that bullshit with my mom, and how many times I walked out of that hospital with my fist clenched so tight that my nails were digging into my hands, of just, this fucking place pisses me off, these people piss me off. How hard is it to be a respectful, decent human being? I try to be a decent human being to the people that I consider my friends, my close friends, my family. As some of you on YouTube know, some of you are like my family. And when bad stuff happens to you, sad stuff happens to you, it pisses me off, it makes me sad, it makes me want to do something. But what can you do? Alright, I just had to get that out. Johnny's video just led me down a tunnel, and I had to get to the end of that tunnel and back out the other side to where I could see the light again. It's just so frustrating to me. So frustrating. So, okay. Thanks for watching. Take care. Have a great weekend. And, yeah. And, the link to his video that inspired this video is in the description below. So give it a watch. Thanks.